The Chosen Season 6 begins with a storm of emotions, and Episode 1 sets the stage for the darkest, most unforgettable night in history. This is not just another season premiere. It is the moment when everything we have followed for years collides with destiny. The trailer alone shakes us to the core, pulling us into the final hours of Jesus' life. A night filled with betrayal, fear, trials, and the looming shadow of the cross. Nothing about this episode is light or easy, because it is not meant to be. It is a heartbreaking journey that makes us hold our breath knowing we are about to witness the end of Jesus' earthly ministry, and yet the beginning of the greatest story ever told. From the very first moments, Season 6, Episode 1 draws us straight into the heart of darkness. The trailer wastes no time in reminding us what is at stake. Unlike earlier seasons that wove together multiple storylines of miracles, parables, and personal journeys, this season narrows its focus entirely. It places us in Jerusalem on the very night that will change human history forever. And this opening episode doesn't give us a chance to breathe because it plunges us immediately into the atmosphere of dread and inevitability. Everything feels heavy, as if the air itself carries the weight of what is about to happen. For years, Jesus has walked with his disciples, healed the sick, fed the hungry, raised the dead, and offered words of eternal life. But now, the hour has come. The betrayal is set. The trap is already closing. The trailer teases the moment when Jesus is taken from the Garden of Gethsemane, the sacred place where he had prayed in anguish, sweating drops of blood as he surrendered to his Father's will. That haunting prayer, "Not my will, but yours be done," echoes across the night, and it is the beginning of the end. In this episode, we watch the consequences of that surrender unfold. Judas has done his part. The soldiers march into the garden with torches and weapons, ready to seize the man they claim is a threat to their power. The disciples, frightened and confused, try to resist, but they are quickly overpowered. And there, in that moment, Jesus chooses not to fight back. His silence is louder than any sword. He is not a victim caught off guard. He is the willing sacrifice, fully aware of what awaits him. That single decision to stand still and offer no resistance sets the tone for everything that follows. The trailer hints at the trial before Annas, the former high priest, who questions Jesus with suspicion and bitterness. The darkness in the scene is not just physical, it is spiritual. Annas seeks to corner Jesus with accusations, demanding explanations, searching for a reason to condemn him. Yet Jesus answers calmly, reminding them that he has spoken openly in synagogues and in the temple, teaching nothing in secret. This response only enrages the guards, and one of them strikes him across the face. That moment, raw, violent, and unjust, captures the tragedy of this night. The Son of God, who healed the broken and lifted the weary, is now treated like a criminal. This is the shocking turn. The first episode delivers. The one who came to save is beaten and insulted by those he came to save. The trailer doesn't stop there. We also see glimpses of Peter following from a distance, torn between loyalty and fear. His eyes, full of desperation, reveal the inner war within him. He wants to stand by Jesus, but the danger is overwhelming. For the first time, we sense how fragile even the closest disciples are in this moment of trial. The man who once declared, "I will never deny you," is about to face the hardest test of his faith. And it is not the soldiers or the priests who break him. It is the crushing fear of being recognized, of being exposed. The episode carefully builds this tension, foreshadowing Peter's denial without showing it all at once. It leaves us anxious, knowing what is coming, but dreading the moment it arrives. What makes this episode so different from anything before is the atmosphere. The entire story unfolds under the cover of night, with shadows and whispers filling every corner. The darkness is more than a backdrop. It is a character in itself. It mirrors the spiritual battle that is raging unseen. The weight of sin pressing down on Jesus as he walks this path alone. The disciples stumble in confusion. The leaders plot in arrogance. And the crowds wait unknowingly for the spectacle to come. And in the middle of it all, Jesus stands silent, resolute, and unwavering. This silence is not weakness. It is strength beyond comprehension. Because in that silence, he carries the destiny of humanity. The trailer makes it clear. Episode 1 is not just a setup. It is the beginning of the storm. Every word, every glance, every moment carries meaning. From Gethsemane to the high priest's courtyard, from betrayal to false accusations, from violence to silence, the episode sets the foundation for the darkest night before the cross. And even as we watch it unfold, we feel the weight of what is coming next. We know that the trial before Pilate, the mocking, the scourging, and the cross are just ahead. But right now in episode 1, we are forced to sit in the darkness, to feel the tension, to experience the heartbreak of watching the Son of God willingly step into suffering. As episode 1 moves deeper into the night, the focus shifts to the chaos within the Sanhedrin. And here, the suspense reaches new levels. The trailer reveals a room crowded with angry faces, men who should be guardians of the law, but who are instead consumed by jealousy and fear. They are desperate not for truth, but for a reason to condemn. Witnesses are brought in, but their stories do not match. Their testimonies clash, turning the trial into a spectacle of confusion and dishonesty. The tension is unbearable as the council members grow restless, their frustration boiling over. All they want is a verdict. All they seek is a charge that can seal Jesus' fate. It is in this moment that the high priest Caiaphas steps forward, his authority filling the room, his voice rising above the noise. He asks the question that cuts through the lies and contradictions. Are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One? This is the question that the entire season has been building toward, the question that carries eternal weight. And in the silence that follows, it feels as though time itself stops. Then comes the answer. Calm, unshaken, but earth-shattering. You have said so. And from now on, you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven. Those words, spoken with absolute authority, change everything. The Sanhedrin erupts. Caiaphas tears his robes in a dramatic display of outrage, declaring that no more witnesses are needed. The charge is blasphemy. The verdict is decided, and the council unites in fury against the one who has never sinned. What makes this moment so gripping in the trailer is not just the anger of the priests, but the contrast with Jesus' composure. Surrounded by hatred, he does not flinch. Accused of blasphemy, he speaks the truth without hesitation. This is not a man caught off guard. This is the Son of God, fully aware that his answer will condemn him, yet refusing to deny who he is. The suspense lies not in whether he will escape, we know he will not, but in how far he is willing to go to stand in truth. And that unshakable strength shown in the face of certain death is what leaves us stunned. This episode doesn't just tell us what happened. It makes us feel the weight of every heartbeat, every word, every glance across the room. It places us in that chamber, forcing us to hear the shouts, to see the anger, and to feel the injustice pressing in. Meanwhile, outside in the courtyard, a different battle is being fought. Quieter, but no less intense. The trailer shows Peter huddled by the fire, shadows flickering across his face, trying to stay close enough to see what happens to Jesus, but far enough to stay unnoticed. The tension here is unbearable because we know what is coming. We know Peter's heart is torn between love and fear, loyalty and survival. A servant girl points him out. You were with him. His denial comes quick, sharp, almost desperate. The words tumble out before he can even think. Once, twice, 3 times. Each denial heavier than the last. The rooster crows. The camera lingers on his broken expression. The crushing realization of what he has done. This is not just Peter's failure. It is every disciple's fear, every believer's weakness, captured in one devastating moment. The trailer doesn't give us everything, but the glimpse is enough to make us tremble because Peter's story is our story. The struggle between faith and fear. The heartbreak of falling when we want to stand. The brilliance of this episode is how it moves between the courtroom and the courtyard, showing us 2 trials happening at once. Jesus faces the hatred of the leaders. Peter faces the weakness of his own heart. One stands firm, the other falls. One speaks truth, the other denies. And yet, both stories are part of the same night, woven together with painful beauty. The suspense is not just about what will happen next. It is about what these moments mean. We are not just watching history. We are watching ourselves in the mirror of these characters. Would we have the courage to speak the truth, or would we falter like Peter? The episode forces us to ask that question, and the answer is rarely easy. What makes the trailer even more haunting is the way it captures the spiritual weight pressing down on Jesus through it all. Every false witness, every shout of blasphemy, every denial from those closest to him is like another stone added to his burden. And yet, he does not resist. He does not fight. He allows himself to be dragged deeper into the storm because he knows where this road leads. It is not the Sanhedrin or the soldiers who hold power over him. It is his love for humanity, his obedience to the Father that keeps him moving forward. This realization turns the suspense into something almost unbearable because we know the outcome. But watching him walk into it willingly shakes us to the core. As the episode builds to its climax, the council's rage spills over into violence. The guards mock him, spit on him, strike him with their fists. Each blow is an insult. Each taunt a reminder of the depth of human cruelty. And yet, through it all, Jesus remains silent. This silence is deafening, more powerful than any defense he could give. It is the silence of the lamb led to slaughter. The silence of a king whose crown will be thorns. Watching this unfold, even in the trailer, fills us with a mix of sorrow and awe. Because this is not defeat. This is victory disguised as weakness, glory hidden in suffering. And it is only the beginning. Episode 1 leaves us trembling. Not because the story is finished, but because we know the darkest moments are still ahead. The cross is waiting. As the first episode unfolds, the focus begins to shift from the Jewish council to the Roman authorities. And here the tension rises even higher because we know this is where the final verdict will be sealed. The trailer gives us glimpses of Jesus being led from Caiaphas to the governor's palace, bound, beaten, and surrounded by soldiers. The night has given way to the first light of morning, but there is no hope in that sunrise. Only the cold march toward death. Pontius Pilate enters the story, a man caught between his own judgment and the fury of the crowd. He examines Jesus, searching for guilt, for some crime to justify the charges, but finds none. The trailer makes it clear. Pilate knows the truth. He sees no reason for execution. Yet the tension here is not about innocence or guilt. It is about power, politics, and pressure. The leaders are relentless, shouting accusations, stirring the people demanding blood. The weight of their voices crashes against Pilate like a tidal wave, and we watch as his struggle unfolds. The suspense is crushing because we know that reason will not win, that justice will not prevail. But the slow unraveling of Pilate's will keeps us on edge, forcing us to witness the failure of human authority in the face of fear. And in the midst of this political storm, Jesus remains unshaken. The trailer shows him standing before Pilate, silent, calm, almost otherworldly. Pilate asks him questions, trying to understand who this man truly is. "Are you the king of the Jews?" he demands. And Jesus answers with words that confound him. "My kingdom is not of this world." Those words echo across the screen, a declaration that his power is greater than Rome, greater than the Sanhedrin, greater than all the empires of men. It is the kind of truth Pilate cannot grasp because it is not about armies or thrones, but about a kingdom that will never end. And here lies the power of this moment. The ruler of the greatest empire in the world stands face to face with the true king, yet cannot see it. The suspense builds not only in what Pilate will decide, but in the irony that the man who claims no earthly throne is the one before whom all nations will one day bow. The trailer also hints at the moment when Pilate, desperate for a way out, sends Jesus to Herod Antipas. Herod, curious and arrogant, has long wanted to see him. He hopes for a miracle, some display of power to entertain his court. But instead, he receives only silence. His silence infuriates Herod and amuses his guards, who mock Jesus, dress him in a robe, and send him back to Pilate. The cruelty is unbearable, the injustice undeniable. And yet Jesus does not resist. Each act of mockery is another step toward the cross. And each silence is a victory over the darkness that seeks to provoke him. This is not weakness. This is strength beyond comprehension. The strength to endure humiliation for the sake of redemption. And as the trailer flashes through these scenes, we are left gripping our seats because we know the decision is closing in. Pilate can delay, he can protest, but he cannot escape. The tide has turned against him. One of the most powerful glimpses in the trailer is the scene where Pilate offers the crowd a choice. It is Passover, and tradition allows for the release of one prisoner. On one side stands Jesus, beaten but innocent. On the other stands Barabbas, a rebel and murderer. Pilate presents the choice, perhaps believing that the crowd will choose mercy. But the shouts that rise up are chilling. "Barabbas! Release Barabbas!" The people, stirred by the priests, demand freedom for the guilty and death for the innocent. The suspense here is unbearable, because it is not just about that crowd 2,000 years ago. It is about us. Humanity has always chosen Barabbas. We have always chosen rebellion over righteousness, violence over peace, sin over salvation. And watching this unfold, even in the brief flashes of the trailer, fills us with sorrow because we know the verdict has been sealed not by Pilate's hand alone, but by the voices of the people. The trailer shows Pilate's final act, washing his hands before the crowd, declaring, "I am innocent of this man's blood." But his words ring hollow. No one is innocent here. Not Pilate, not the priests, not the crowd, not even the disciples who fled in fear. The suspense of this scene is not in the outcome. We know Jesus will be handed over, but in the weight of responsibility that hangs over every character. And as we watch Pilate hand him over to be crucified, the reality sinks in. This is not just the failure of justice in one moment of history. This is the revelation of the brokenness of all humanity. The Son of God is condemned because the world prefers darkness over light, power over truth, sin over salvation. Yet even in this darkness, the trailer hints at something greater. The silence of Jesus before his accusers, the willingness to endure suffering, the calm authority in the face of hatred, all of it points to a deeper plan. He is not a victim of circumstance. He is the Lamb of God walking willingly toward the sacrifice that will change everything. And as the episode builds to this moment, the suspense becomes almost unbearable. We know the cross is near. We know the flogging, the mocking, the crown of thorns are about to come. And yet, Even as our hearts break, we cannot look away. Because this is the story that defines us, the night that reveals both the depth of human sin and the height of divine love. By the time episode 1 closes, the stage is set. Jesus has been rejected by the leaders, denied by his disciple, condemned by the crowd, and abandoned by justice itself. He is led away to be scourged, mocked, and prepared for crucifixion. The suspense leaves us trembling because while we know what is coming, watching it unfold in this way makes it new, raw, and unbearable all over again. The darkest night is not over. It has only begun. The suspense of episode 1 deepens into something almost unbearable as we witness the brutality of what comes next. The trailer hints at the scourging, one of the most harrowing moments in all of Scripture and one of the darkest hours in human history. Jesus is handed over to the Roman soldiers. And here, cruelty reaches its peak. These men have no interest in justice, no concern for truth. To them, Jesus is nothing more than a prisoner to humiliate, an object of mockery, a body to be broken. The whip is brought out, laced with sharp fragments of bone and metal designed to tear flesh apart with every strike. And while the trailer cannot capture the full horror, the glimpses we see are enough to send chills down our spines. Each lash is a reminder that the innocent one is suffering in the place of the guilty. The pain is unimaginable. Yet Jesus does not cry out. His silence continues, stronger than any scream, bearing the weight of every blow. This moment is not just violence. It is the fulfillment of prophecy. By his stripes we are healed. The soldiers, intoxicated with cruelty, push their mockery further. They clothe him in a scarlet robe, drape it across his torn back as if to laugh at his kingship. They twist together a crown of thorns, sharp and merciless, pressing it into his head until blood runs down his face. A reed is placed in his hand like a scepter, and they bow before him in twisted mockery, sneering, "Hail, King of the Jews." The trailer shows flashes of this humiliation, the jeers of the soldiers ringing in our ears. It is gut-wrenching to watch because we know the truth they cannot see. The man they mock is the true king, the Lord of Lords, the one before whom every knee will one day bow. And yet in this moment he allows their cruelty. He endures their scorn because he is carrying a crown far greater than thorns.